to it now. Are there any questions in general? Nothing, eh?
No, sir.
At the moment. Okay. All right. Let me go into this lesson quickly. Yeah, that's not right. Hold on. No, that's not right. Second. Share window, and then there it is. Okay. Come on. All right. Okay. Can you see the screen? That just kicked me out. Are you there?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Is it? Okay, that kicked me right out. Son of a bitch. That kicked me out. Sorry, that kicked me out. What's this one? Yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry, that kicked me off. Yeah. I see that. I see it info now. Damn it, man. We just see meeting there. God damn it. Will you do me a favor? Just jump out and jump back in. See what's going on with this teams. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. See what's going on from back. See. Okay. Wait, can you hear me now? Is that better? Is that fine? No, Lumiso, say something. Can you hear me? So then I can.
Sir, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Excuse the popping out of it. Let's go back to the class. Okay. So, as you'll note, this is a short class on what I introduced in the previous lesson about the important half dozen. We're just going to break it down. And then I've got one of the shows that I would like to pick random links like we would do in the industry. And then you will crit it and crit it fairly, like the way that that we covered in the previous lesson. And then the two that are already recorded on whole campus. Okay, all right, let's get into it so that we focus more on the practical and just break this down. So just from the previous lesson, we had the important half dozen being music, content, being multi-platform, the basics, performance, imaging, and money matters, right? So from here, we're going to break it down. So this is in terms of being a broadcaster, be it on or off air, whatever it may be, and being able to have a holistic approach to, like being a better professional. Do you understand? So so knowing about all these elements is and using them also at the best to the best of your ability is obviously going to make you a better broadcaster and a better practitioner is where you start actually gearing towards. Okay. So if we look at, let's say, the music, so in terms of playlisting, one, yes, understanding that you as a broadcaster must stick to the playlist, but knowing why obviously important, it's important, why it's important is the important part, right? Sticking to the playlist in rotation is something that we have discussed over the past, like I say, over the past year, being together and understanding that the balance in rotation is how we attempt to, that's our attempt, and we it works, right, to increase that time spent listening, that TSL. So if you remember the abbreviation or the acronym or whatever it is, the TSL abbreviation, I think, um is but no, it's an acronym. It's an acronym, right? Anyway, time spent listening is about saying, okay, if someone tunes in at, let's say, 7 past the top of the hour, whatever it is, then they're going to want to listen, let's say, for from 7 minutes on, let's say, to 22 minutes past. And if they have listened to 22 minutes past, they're listening to whatever is on air, be it probably music, 10 to 1, the music's going to have them listen to another 3.5 minutes, another 4.5 minutes, another 5, 6, whatever it is, and then they'll stick around for the link, depending on obviously how great the link is. They'll move into obviously the fundamentals, the mandatory benchmarks like the news, whatever it may be, and actually tolerate the ads, right? Okay, when we speak about advertising, just in general, it's something that's like something that's tainted or toxic. It's not. It serves its purpose very, very well. That's how we run the stations, just in general. That's how we keep them afloat. Money's coming in, and people aren't. They don't hate ads. They just hate it when there's too many ads, right? And when they start getting a bit of a sniff of that, and I'm going off topic here, but the thing is that if they start getting a sniff of like a station that is playing up to 6.5 minute ad breaks, which is very, very common with the privatized stations, right? That's when they tune out, right? So anyway, okay, the playlist has to be. My first boss always said, if you don't have anything good to say, like play the next song because the next song has been tested by your audience and they like it, right? So that's why it's on the playlist. Anyway, it's compiled by your music compiler. They know what they're doing. It's a full-time job. That's all they do all day long is work on obviously the back end of RCS or whatever playback system that they're using, and they constantly recategorize into many, many, many subcategories. Not unlike, let's say, what we have given you this year as 4 categories to work with, right? So it's about constantly updating that playlist and moving those that kind of it's like different scores that we give it, and there's a whole bunch of information that the music compiler will then go and input into the database to make it a more probable that the playlist that it churns out that it's going to spit out automatically in using the algorithm is going to be a good one that's going to obviously be balanced and then obviously keep people listening longer, right? For you, obviously, so I've said that before. Let's say you got a first half hour, right? And the first half hour has 5 songs like you did in the shows. And suppose you had very content heavy links or the news was and all the elements, like I said, the service elements were long, and maybe you didn't get to play the fifth one that was scheduled for the first half hour. When you finish with the news, it's at the bottom of the hour with the sports and stuff. You've got to carry on from what was scheduled after the news, according to the playlist. Not go and play the fifth song in the sixth song's place, right? Because it's been positioned, obviously, the sixth song has been placed there because it is going to obviously advocate more time spent listening, right? So we do that, and obviously, if you do that, I'm saying in at a radio station when you're going to go work, you have to obviously also justify why it is that you're dropping songs, and it has to be a good justification because the music is still more important than actually you are as a broadcaster, right? Anyway, okay, you got to get through the music's hour, the hours of music. It's very important that we push. They know, the music compilers know where the stations are content heavy. Like I say, the shows are content heavy, and where they're not. For example, like I say, daytime, lunch and brunch are not content heavy, or they are orchestrated to not be content heavy. And so we place more music, maybe 11 to 12 songs per hour, and we make the DJs play that, right? So whether it is unformatted or unformatted radio, in other words, SABC versus privatized, it doesn't matter. The music, that like I say, the music capacity is quite heavy, um, and the DJs must do their best to get through all that has been playlisted, right? And with obviously the obviously the man one the word I'm looking for, but let's say the situation where they might drop a song at the bottom of the half hour and the top of the half hour, depending again on content that is there, or the amount of content slash ads or whatever it is. All right, so not one day DJ can justify why their link is more important than the music, right? They can never do that. And even if they're interviewing the most important person on the planet, their link still should have been short enough. I'm saying be 3 minutes and under, to make sure that they can get back to the music, come back to, let's say, a link a bit later on and continue that conversation, should it be that important, right? Anyway, the tempo is about being sure that when we're playing music and when we are playlisting music, that there's a nice flow, that the music is not erratic, right? So we're not listening to this very like very kind of alternative version of the format that we are playing, suddenly in the midday playlists. Okay, it should be rather when it's like 6 o'clock and afterwards at night, or during a specialty show. Like the type of tempo needs to match the type of day as well, and that's obviously done through the research that is constantly being done by the music department, right? And that music compiled in the station. The clock structure is pivotal in construction of the show dynamics. So again, you've seen obviously the why and how the clock is very important. To stick to that is not something that just is a DJ thing, but it's set by the station. So the station will have clocks across. They'll have predetermined clocks for each of the shows beforehand. It doesn't matter who's presenting, but and then they will implement, or they will enforce those clocks across the different jocks, right? Okay, so with content, I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit here instead of actually doing the. Come on, there we go. Just, but there, right? Okay. And at one point, I'm just going to check in if are there any questions at any one point. Fine, good, all good. You can always just raise your hand if there is. Okay, I'm going to continue going. All right. So with content, one, relevant, obviously, is it relevant to the demographic or the psychographic that we're busy broadcasting to on that day of the week, that time of the day, that week of the month and the year? Is it seasonal? It's stuff that we have discussed before. It has to be relevant. It can be great content, but could be for the wrong market, right? Is it relatable, right? So have you constructed the show to touch home for the listener? And that is how we obviously judge relatable when we are snooping and when we are criticizing shows, right? Does it relate to the listener? And but in a way that they actually can say, oh, that is me that you're talking about. That is my money situation. That is my education situation, whatever it is, or job situation, doesn't matter, right? Are you telling great stories at the end of the day? Every single link is a story to be told, even if it's a generic, a teaser or whatever it is. The stories are are about how rich you make that particular link. And again, with that word economy, that you're using the right words and at the right time in the right link, right, to tell the story that you want to tell, and obviously evoke emotion and empathy from that particular listener. Empathy, once again, is knowing how someone actually feels. So putting yourself in their shoes, understanding that, like, let's say if you put yourself in the shoes of someone that is earning 60,000, 70,000 Rand a month, what would that world look like to them? Like, the way that they would spend their money, the way that they would feel a bit more relaxed, in terms of the money not being an issue, necessarily, the way that they might feel a little bit more accomplished because money might be a good justifiable verification as to, well, I don't know, for their own, I don't know, like their own self-image, right? You've got to think about how they talk, like what type of conversations they'd be interested in, or whatever it may be. Like you as a broadcaster need to be able to go from that person to obviously the middle class person that is maybe working two jobs, right? And to the lower class person that is going literally from day to day wage or week to week wage, and the situations that they are obviously are concerned with, right? Obviously, this is to rein in and rein true to your listener. That's very important. Whoever it is, your demographic or psychographic it comprises of. The callers that you take are obviously valuable. Now, you have been taking voice notes, and it's still a listener, right? The same thing applies for caller, voice note, Vox. Anything that you decide to put that is outside your team, to put them on air, even an interview, doesn't matter, right? Don't put it for the sake of putting in something to fill a hole, like to fill a space, right? We'd rather have you play music and go to your next best piece of content, right? Be very picky. If you only get one person, but the one person is the quote unquote ultimate caller, they're a great caller, they've got great personality, they've got lots of things to say, or whatever it is, or interesting things to say, rather just put the one instead of the three or four that you have lined up, right? They have to also be conduits for the story that you are telling. In other words, they've got to accelerate the power of the story, or the piece of the story, or the piece of the story that you're obviously telling at that moment in your show. Or as in terms of content, the benchmarks must be met. They're not debatable, as you know. We've said there, all your elements, your news, finance, your weather, your traffic, your sports, and your let's say even your jingles, your IDs, um, music is benchmarked. And also your live reads and your advertising, at the end of the day. These are benchmarks that you cannot move around. I'm saying you can't go and decide to do news at 12 past, and you can't decide to play an ad bracket that is out of its 15-minute cube, your 15-minute period, right? Okay. The water cooler effect is, uh, again, it's a concept that that's a hypothesis, or whatever it is. You can use it as a metaphor, right? So in the olden days, right? I mean, and even in a lot of movies, I suppose, or whatever it is, the water cooler where you would go and get water is somewhere where people would go and, let's say, drink their water, like their cup of water, but also start to talk around that water cooler, right? Okay. The same thing you would find, let's say, in an office, like when they're going to go get coffee. Maybe some people go out and have a smoke, or they're going to go, let's say, they're going to sit outside for lunch or whatever it is, and then they start talking, right? So you want to be able to think of content and things that are happening on your show that have have made part of their conversation around the water cooler, in the kitchen, in the office, at home, the water cooler effect, something that you're going to bring up because it's so important, or it's so, like I say, sensationalistic, or it's so, I don't know, interesting, that you're going to have to share it, right? So the water cooling effect. And then teasing. Effective teasing means more TSL, time spent listening. We're halfway. with a multi-platform, as I said to you, the thing is, it's very important. Like we look at you and we just assume that your generation is you are digitally savvy, but a lot of the a lot and all the generations, right, are digitally savvy to a certain extent, but they don't actually know how to use more than, let's say, two or three platforms. This is on a general scale, right? And when they are using it, a lot of them are actually not even using the platform. They're actually just spectators. So quite a lot of people have these accounts only to go and view videos on TikTok, only to go see what people are posting on Facebook or Instagram, to go watch YouTube videos, or maybe to, let's say, like I say, listen to a podcast here and there. But none of them are actually, not none of them, the majority of people worldwide and across generations are not content creators. And you have to, right? You have to use each one of these, like I say, within their right context, right? So, for example, like now, like I mean, I was just I'm doing the small thing. It's just a passion thing. It's a because I'm a collector, I'm a geek, whatever it is. So I'm doing something called Man Cave She Shack Invasions, right? It's something small for YouTube. It definitely has to be a visual thing where just different collectors have come to me over the past, it's a couple of months, and said, "Do you want to just do a video with me? I can show you all my collection, my collectibles that I've done." And it's cool. It's done. It belongs on YouTube, is what I'm saying. It doesn't belong in a podcast. I thought of maybe turning it into a podcast series, like some parts of it, and it doesn't work. It belongs on YouTube because obviously everything's visual, and it's got to be tight, and it's got to be. It can't be longer than about 7 minutes. Something that's going to be, like I say, visual and exactly what I'm promising. Let's say someone that comes across on YouTube, which is I'm going into someone's collection. I'm going to have a look at it. It's going to be a bit personal. Like I say, it's good. They're going to show me their little vintage items, and boom, they're out, finished, done. Like it won't work on any other. It's not going to work on any other platform because the thing is, I don't want a long Instagram video. I also don't want to go, and there's no need. If it's on YouTube, it doesn't have to be on Instagram as a video. Like I can go create a TikTok video that is, I don't know, it's I don't know, I mean, it has to be short, something under 3 minutes, definitely anything under 3 minutes, and can start something different on TikTok, completely reflecting different parts of my personality. I'm not only just a geek, I'm many other things, and so I from just sorry, there's just some idiot outside banging on the gate. Okay, so all right. So my thing is that these things can all be part of your brand, obviously, but they can reflect different aspects of your brand as well. And to know that when, let's say, you want to create theater of mind, but you want to create independent, unique, and unrestricted, uncensored content, you want to go for a podcast, right? And you want to go and let's say delve into things like that. Know why you're using each one of these accounts, right? But do have all of them. And then obviously in terms of a landing page, you've got to, yeah, that's what you're aiming for at the end of the day as a media practitioner. You want to have one place where everyone can go and access all these things at once, including your blog. And let's say like any personal information, like your abouts, obviously you like your credentials, where you've worked, that type of stuff, right? Um, so it's very good for a media practitioner to have that landing page at the end of the day. Okay. All right, with the basics, basics service elements. So please, by now, obviously, you must get used to the terminology. What is a service element? It is like an ID, it's a sting, it's news, it's the link itself, it's a promotion, it's spot breaks, it's anything that makes up part of that hour that you are broadcasting. Anything is called because it's an element that provides a service, right? So an ID will obviously identify the station. A sting will obviously allow us to, let's say, a sting or a jingle might be related to a feature or a competition, like a promo obviously has its purpose as a competition, like spot placements or advertisement break. Each of them are providing a certain service. They make up that clock, okay, and that hour, right? Enthusiasm, in terms of passion and buy-in, you have no choice. You must be passionate about everything that you're doing on air. The music that you play, like no one cares about your personal opinion and your personal choices. They don't care if you're a metalhead or a grunge or a R&B or an old school. Like if you're there to play like AC, adult contemporary, like you've got to sell adult contemporary, right? Because your listeners are fans of that type of music. So you go in and you're passionate about the music that you are selling, right? Or you're playing. To promoting digital activations, like because there are many moving parts right now, you want to also, it also gives us an opportunity to fill the shows up with a lot of different types of content, right? We can go and tease, or we can go and cross promote to digital activations, play little teasers of what's happening out on our digital platforms or social media platforms, to lead and cross promote them there, to cross promote other shows as well. If there's a big interview happening or big competition, then share the support for your, obviously your local your I say your your fellow employees, right? Your confidants, right? Right. If you don't, then how can you expect your listener to buy in if you are not bought into the product, which is the brand, the radio station that you sell, and everything about it, right? Promote, you must cross promote other shows. You must promote the web page. You must promote the social media handles, the content, the competitions that are happening. You always have something to say. A DJ that comes in and just says time and temperature, this was that song, and this is the time, the station they play, let's say another song, they go to jingle, they go to break, is a lazy presenter, right? Okay, sometimes it calls for that because maybe you've only got 15 seconds before the news or when you have to play adverts, but you can also just put a little bit of life into it. There's always something to say. Time management, you are a professional time manager. Always manage your time. It is part of your skill set, and mismanagement is absolutely not tolerated. Okay. All right. Just give me, so we got the two more here. All right. Okay. So but with your energy, no matter how you feel, if you feel sick, like I said there, like I've said throughout the shows that you've been doing, if you're sick, if you're feeling down, I'm saying mentally, psychologically, if something is going on at home or whatever it is, unfortunately, if you've come to work, you have to put it at the door, like you put your baggage at the door, and you have to perform because you're a performer and you have people to entertain. If you feel like it's going to affect your performance, you must not go on air, right? You rather say, I need someone to fill in for me. I have personal issues that I must attend to. I'm not feeling well. I'm saying physically or health wise, or whatever it is. I need a day or two of sick leave. I'm not coming in. And they'll be like, again, your manager will never be upset because you've actually looked after the station first, then yourself actually, because you're looking after the product at the end of the day. Okay. All right. So character, what do we want? We want unique individuals. It's very easy, as I said. You can look at the person that you've been working across, like your team. You are very unique. You're not a carbon copy of anyone else there. So you're already on a vantage point. You must really push to know that how different you are is what's going to get you further and further in life. Finished. Um, but definitely in the entertainment industry, doesn't matter whether you're again in front or behind a mic or a camera, it doesn't matter. Your unique personality is what's going to be magnetic enough for people to want to creatively work with you further, right? Okay. When you bring a game to a show, amplify your personality. I say, like, sorry, when you bring your A game to your show, like bring your personality, amplify it by five. I always say times it by five, right? To the power of five, and then see what that person is like, because that person has to be a lot more extra, but not so extra that they're inauthentic, right? You're interesting, but you're a performer at the end of the day. You put forward like not the person that you spoke to your friend with this morning. You have to be a much more refined, a much more interesting, magnetic personality. Right. So authentic, never put a farce of who you are. There's not a need to. If you feel like there are elements of yourself that you don't want to share, you don't have to, right? But the parts that you do share must be all of them, 100% of all those parts that you are allowing your listener to connect to. You would be offended. I'm just saying, if someone tried, like, let's say if you had someone that you're trying to get to know. No, let's not look at let's say an on-air basis, like a broadcaster, but a person, and they only telling you little bits of little bits of little bits, and you're telling them a lot more. Like, you're going to actually not want to invest in that relationship, right? So a listener wants to get to know you, and they want to get to know the real you, right? It will require half your attention to maintain a an alter ego, someone that you think they would like, as opposed to being the person that could be the person that they do like. I'm saying the real person, right? Chemistry, it's not only with teams, like I'm saying in your team, but it's chemistry between you and your listener. Like, are you charismatic, which means, do you draw people to you? And not everyone, I'm saying one to one. Do people want to know a little bit more? They like being around you. A charismatic person is someone that is likable at the end of the day. They have that little bit of a they have a great talent for being likable, right? They've got a nice chemistry around them, nice feel, nice aura. I don't know what people want to call it, but they're cool people to be around. They're charismatic, right? Talking to or at the listener, we know the difference, right? You talk to your listener, yields immediate bonds, and changes the entire way that you present when you talk to one listener. Okay, here's the last one. Imaging and money matters, right? For effects, imaging exists to clean up and add silk to your show. It is also mandatory to play station imaging when scheduled. It's scheduled in your playlist, it's scheduled in the system. Like, you must play it when it is there, right? And entertaining above all, or be entertaining. So no great radio was ever achieved without great entertainment. No bad radio is going to make money either, right? Money matters to a product that is clean, that is professional, and that is holistic at the end of the day. Okay. So in terms of the half dozen, we're going to listen to, so just in terms, I'm just going to quickly jump back here. Are there any questions? Any questions before I share the audio on this show here? Are you all good? Okay. All right. Yes. Are you good? Okay. All right. All right. Let me, I said I'm going to stop the share, and just so I can share the audio on, one minute. Include computer sound, and I need to go to audition. All right. Okay. So so we're going to listen to, so then I picked, just for today, on Monday, we're going to pick I'm going to take the other two shows that were submitted, and we're going to do that in class alongside the briefing, as well as the two lessons that remain, right? So Monday's a busy day. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna play the news. I think it's
Factual. And here's what's making news.
Okay, so I'm gonna play the news first, okay? And I want you to make notes, please. I want you to make notes every time you feel like, let's say, I want you to listen to the news story. Was it well written? Did it make sense? Was the top story the correct story, in comparison to the local? I'm saying the local, regional. Was there a tail ender? Were the sound bites fine? Then you must look at the presenter. Obviously, in this case, I think I took it in coursing, right? So you must listen to her pronunciation. Did you understand her? Was she too fast? Was she too slow? Did she lose attention? That type of stuff. Okay, right. And then after the news, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna ask you each what your feedback is. So you must, one, crit the points that you made, but then you must also say what she should do to improve or to fix these mistakes. All right, are you ready? Let's go.
And here's what's making news.
Looking at the top stories for this hour, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is being remembered as a man of integrity, and there are calls for proper training and oversight for the Gauteng's crime prevention wardens. You are tuned in to PMH Radio. I'm Kosipayo Vilagazi with your news. Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is being remembered as a man of integrity. Chief Justice Zondo says he stood for what was right irrespective of personalities. The IFP founder died at the age of 95 and he is being relayed to rest in KwaZulu-Natal, Ulundi.
Happened to actually have served vacation jobs in a law firm of an attorney who was part of the IFP, Mr. J.H. Begu, who also, I think, had been part of the ANC Youth League before. I've known him for a long time, and we know that he made sure that KZN had Mangosuthu University, and we know his role in the Ngonyama Trust. And for me, above all, he was a man of integrity.
There are calls for proper training and oversight of the Gauteng's crime prevention wardens. This follows allegations of abuse of power and poor training. Expert Mark Haywood says while the wardens are needed, they must be properly skilled.
Yes, it became a focus actually because a person who was a victim of assault at the hands of the Gauteng crime prevention wardens contacted us. We investigated his assault, a very, very brutal assault that has left him seriously disabled. And that then led to a wider set of questions around the crime prevention wardens, around the legality of the way in which they have been established. In fact, I'm of the belief that they are established illegally and outside of the law. And then eventually to this question of how well trained are the wardens. Now, it's an
Moving further afield, isolated Morocco's earthquake survivors feel forgotten by the state as they await for help. This comes after a deadly earthquake struck the high Atlas mountain late on the 8th of September, killing more than 20,000 people. The government has pledged to provide shelter and close to 5 million rand to affected households and offer reconstruction aid to damaged and collapsed homes. EMS spokesperson in Morocco, Ismail, explains.
Morocco right now, and of course it's a reminder almost of what happened in Turkey earlier this year, with over millions of people displaced, etc. So right now we've got, because we partner with local international NGOs on the ground there in Morocco, but I want to emphasize one point that's really, really important. You said it earlier in your introduction that the earthquake struck high up in the Atlas Mountains, so people in remote areas are the most affected at the moment. Yes, of course, in Marrakesh and many other urban areas as well, yes. But the toughest part is up in the high Atlas Mountains and difficult to reach areas. And because of the magnitude of the earthquake, many of the roads are devastated and there's debris everywhere, of course, which means trucks and rescue aid workers are finding it difficult to get to the actual people who are in need.
Now, finally, TikTok has been fined 3.5 million euros, which is 7 billion, for breaching European Union privacy laws regarding the processing of children's personal data. The Chinese-owned short video platform breached several European privacy laws between the 31st of July and the 31st of December 2020. TikTok said it disagrees with the decision and that most of the criticism are no longer relevant due to measures introduced before the Data Protection Commissioner probe, which began in September 2021. Now looking at financial indicators, starting off with the market, rand to the US dollar, it is 18 rand 97 cents. Rand to the pound sterling, it is 23 rand 50 cents. Rand to the euro, it is 20 rand 23 cents. Platinum, it is currently sitting at $925 per fine ounce. Gold, it is $1,245 per fine ounce. Silver, it is $23 per fine ounce. Brent crude oil, it is $93.70 a barrel. Looking at our weather for this hour, for tomorrow, students in Pretoria can expect a sunny day with a maximum temperature of 31. In Joburg, it is also going to be a sunny day with a maximum temperature of 27. In Durban, it is a cloudy day with a maximum temperature of 19. Looking at our traffic, starting off with Midrand in the N1 northbound, there's a stationary vehicle on the shoulder lane just a few meters after ramping from Olifantsfontein Road. The left shoulder is blocked. And in Sandton in the N1 northbound, there's also a stationary vehicle just a few meters after ramping to Rivonia Road. The left shoulder is blocked, and the alternative route you can use R55. And in Roodepoort on the N1 southbound, there's a crash between a single vehicle just a few meters after ramping to Bevers Naude Road. One left lane is blocked. Recapping the top stories for this hour, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is being remembered as a man of integrity, and there are calls for proper training and oversight of the Gauteng's crime prevention wardens. I'll be back with more headlines at 4:30. Kamu has your sporting news.
This is Sports on BMH Radio.
In your sports news headlines recap this hour, Kubas Renak starts in the number 9 shirt, with Grant Williams being promoted from the bench to the right wing in 14 personnel changes to the starting lineup after last weekend's opening win against Scotland. Foster pounced on a rebound after the visitors failed to deal with the 25th minute corner kick, and the scores were brief from the third one-day international between South Africa and Australia at the JBS Marks Oval. In other sporting news, Juventus and France midfielder Paul Pogba has been provisionally suspended after doping control detected elevated levels of testosterone. The 36-year-old Novak Djokovic defeated Daniil Medvedev in straight sets to pull level with Margaret Court's all-time mark for most major singles crown. And lastly, Max Verstappen's bid for a record-extending 11th straight win faces a severe test in Sunday's perilous Singapore night on the unpredictable Marina Bay Street circuit. That's all from me. This is Kamukelo Musola with your BME Sports Update. I'll be back with more details at 4:30.
Cool. Okay. All right. Let's see what each one of you's said, like your feedback and what you would recommend. So let's start with you, Nondomiso. Go ahead. The notes that you made. Very important, like I say, as we do these links, that you make a lot of notes. As you make the notes, obviously you read back, you will then give me the crit I'm saying and things that they can improve on. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Nondomiso. Just make sure that I can't hear you. Can I hear you? The mic is on. Nondomiso. Not sure why I can't hear you. I'm just going to check whether the mic works on Tinolo. Can you say something? Just want to see.
Sir?
Okay, so you're there. And Nondomiso, I don't know if you can type it in the chat if there's something that maybe I'm just going to put the chat here just in case you want to say something, yeah, as to why I can't hear you. In the meantime, Tinolo, tell me yours.
So I feel like with the news, they started off late in the sense that they paused after the jingle for the news. They took like some time
Yeah.
instead of like going right in.
Right.
And then also with the news, I feel like Nkosi takes when it comes to pronunciation, it's some words she's not like pronouncing them right. And
Yeah.
also with I feel like she takes too, I mean the audio for the audio that they added for the news also, it sounded also official. The first audio that they added, it sounded official. It was like they were placing the phone on the
They are. Yeah.
microphone, hence
That's
like the
right.
sound was
Yeah.
sounding
A bit tinny.
strange.
It was a bit tinny.
So, and the
Yeah.
second one, it sounded like they used the computers, so it sounded
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Continue.
So
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Yes, with regards to
No
the
worries.
news also, and I felt like with their spot was fine. Kamu was also in time, like because it was the headlines, so he
Mm.
didn't take too long to respond with the
Yeah.
spot because he just went right in after he announced, I mean, after the jingle was played. So with the
Okay.
sports, I feel like they did a great job with the sports, but with the news, they still need to work on their timing, how they pronounce the words. Maybe maybe Nkosi should take time
Mm.
to practice that or read the news like more often, like you
Definitely. Yeah.
said, to practice reading before
Mm.
being on air. And so yeah,
Yeah.
after all, so I felt like they did fine. It was just that
Yeah.
the time that they took to get in the whole news segment.
Yeah. These
Yes.
are, it's all good crit. It's all accurate crit as well. And it is, yeah, exactly as you say. If you had to, like you've given, let's say you've given Nkosi three, let's say two or three things you must go focus on, like that's very important that you feedback on two or three things so that the person must go and make sure that they accomplish those ones when you come back for the next Snoop. You understand? So
So,
definitely it definitely was the pronunciation because even um like alternate is
mm,
the right pronunciation instead of
yes,
alternate, let's say
yes,
roads. And alternate is a very different meaning to alternate,
yes,
and so the thing is, like, for example, like that's not an accent thing. That's an
mm,
actual enunciation thing that
yes,
changes the context of what you're saying.
yes.
To dig a little bit deeper. So, Nondomiso, I know that you said there's something is wrong with your speaker. Can you say something now? I want to.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Good. Okay, awesome. Let's hear some of your feedback.
I think like Zenolo said, all of their audios were inaudible. So I don't
Yeah.
feel like it added anything to the news. They could have
Mm,
um maybe read out the statements, it would have been better.
yeah. Or they could have just actually just gotten the better audio and loaded it to the system. What happened is that they did play it off the phone. That's the thing. Like Tenola said, we can't really tell actually whether the second or third was played off the PC. I don't really know. It did sound a little bit better, but definitely that first one was off the phone, because you can hear that, like I said, that ton. It's got like it sounds like it's coming from another room. Which I know I said they can, you can do while you're doing it, but because you know how to load to, let's say, WhatsApp and play it there, but at this time, because this was the final show, eh? So we're taking all the final shows. We're doing it today. We're doing it on Monday, right? To see that there was obviously time enough to know I can use the WhatsApp line, I can play it from there or whatever it is, or play it from that PC. Okay, continue. You were saying?
And the news reader's breath work, sometimes I could just
Mm.
tell that she was like taking a breath high and she was
So
trying to
what?
catch her breath.
Yeah, what would you say to her? Like, because it's too fast, eh? It becomes too
I
fast.
don't know. The only thing that will make it better is like practice.
Mm, right. Well, that's another thing. Give me one more. If you could pinpoint one more crit piece from that, what would you say? Let's say give some good crit. So give some constructive crit. Do you like the stories?
I do. They.
No. No.
What do you mean, no, sir?
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying shit. I must shut myself up. You go on. Saying carry on now. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought their stories were fine. I
Mm.
don't know if they were in order, but yeah.
No, they were. No, so she did well. She went to then the international was about the disaster as far as I remember, and then she did do a tail ender at the end. So in terms of construction, she did fine. Anything with financial, remember you must look at all elements, financial indicators, weather, traffic. What did you think about that?
Um, I remember when you were criticizing our group, you told our newsreaders that they need to have like more personality when reading the weather or something along those lines. So maybe she could do that.
Yeah, definitely. Add a little bit, become a little bit more relaxed. Good. Okay. So let's now pick. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a random link, right? It doesn't matter what she's going to say. So Tepang's going to say something. It doesn't matter, but you're going to criticize that one. Okay. I think it should be
That we get different views and different views.
Okay. All right. So remember, right, make all the notes and then again, how to improve and how to change. Okay, here we go.
Hey, friends. Let's get personal. It's the aftermath. Yep, it's definitely the aftermath. And today we are trying to find the aftermath behind marriage in today's day and time. And today I have someone, trust me when I say he's going to give us a totally different dynamic to marriage. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about this show is that we get different views and different viewpoints, right? And now, Ite, please introduce yourself. Thank you for being with us today. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say hi to you and to the listeners as well.
Hello.
I am Ite Mokgeng Sidiso, and I think I have a lot to actually say about the topic.
Okay, so Ite, I come from a fairly strict family, right? And my aunt always, she's married, happily married with 2 beautiful boys, right?
Yeah.
But she always says, Tepang, if I could redo it, not that I would want to change my life, but if I could redo it, I wouldn't get married at all, right? And now she always says to me, Tepang, don't get married. If you ever want to get married, please do it after your 30s, because she did it when she was around 25, right? And now research has it that 73% of adults in the millennial and Gen Z today, they are saying that they don't want to get married and they don't see the importance of getting married if you're already in love with someone. And I know that you've been living with your partner for 3 years, right? What would, given the 3 years, you can already tell where the direction is going. Would you want to get married? Would you not want to get married?
To be quite honest with you, I don't think I will ever consider being married or getting married because I've lived with my partner for the longest time and I've came to a point where now it's like, okay, you've seen what you wanted to see and now it's just a thing of you actually trying to be happy and with your partner, obviously without marriage, because I don't think marriage for me is that important.
Yeah. So now research, right, you bring in a different dynamic to this conversation because research also shows that we are today's youth. We live together with our partners. Our rates are higher before we get married. So but keep it. I don't know what the English term for it is, right? But most of us live with our partners before marriage a lot. And then after that, that's when we're like, I don't want to get married. What is it that you've realized that made you say, you know what, I don't want to do this marriage thing? I mean, you're living with this person. What made you change your mind?
I think I am still young and I still want to, play around, see how life can actually give me something that I've never experienced. And first and foremost, actually, I wouldn't necessarily say at the moment I really wanna be married, like I said.
Yes.
And also, wait, come again. What was the question?
You've been living with this person for a very long time, like
Yeah.
3 years. What is it in those 3 years that made you say, I don't want to do this anymore? And please consider the fact that your dynamic is a lot different from the regular one. I'm going to
Okay.
bring this in.
Yeah.
Same-sex relationship, right? How does it then... Does that play a part in you saying, I don't want to get married, or it doesn't have to do with that at all?
I think the most important thing is respect. You know, when you start respecting each other and giving each other like love that you really deserve. And also just like when you are still young and you've been with somebody for the longest time, and when you started that thing, you were also, you know, around like ages of 20, 21, your early 20s, and you still really not sure about whatever that you were doing. And I did that because I actually wanted to experience something. But out of what I have encountered, I feel like marriage is not really a thing for me.
For you, yeah.
Yeah. Having to clean after somebody and doing all of that, you know, you are given quite a lot of like rules. Now you can't be touching your phone from this time to this time. Now you can be talking to whoever. You can't be out and drinking. It's like you are now put in a box, and that's not me. First of all, I am a media personality, so I'm always out there. I'm a DJ as well, so having to actually be in a type of marriage where someone doesn't really give you the time and the permission that you should actually give yourself, it's like, oh no, you're blocking my ways, actually. Yeah.
I think what Ite is saying is quite interesting, because I think that's what most of us have of marriage, that marriage closes you off. But one thing I really appreciate about today's marriages, if I may say, is the fact that it allows, women are coming in and saying, this is where I stand. Men are coming in and saying, this is where I stand. It's a platform that allows both parties to thrive.
I also want to add something. Yeah? So you need to understand that with us, it's a bit different, because it's like now a same-sex marriage. So as an individual, I wouldn't necessarily say let's get married, because I feel like that's not necessary, especially like for us as like gay community or LGBTQI plus community. But why do we really want to get married? What is it that we trying to like put out there or to get? Yes,
that you
understand?
can't get when you're not married.
Exactly. And also getting married, you put a lot into that. Like, first of all, you need to respect the person. You need to love the person. You need to know the person in and out. You need to, there's quite a lot of things that will even change. Like, for you as a person, there's quite a lot of things that are going to be changing, but you just need to be out there and love somebody that you really want to get married to.
You know what? All I'm saying is, marriage is what you make out of it. Any sort of relationship is what you make out of it. And one thing that I took from Ite being with us today is that don't do anything when you are not ready, number one. And number two, you're always allowed to change your mind. If you try something and you realize that this is not it, I lived with this person, I thought I'm marriage material, guess what? I am not. You are allowed to change your mind. But Bobby, someone who is always on TikTok, has something quite interesting. She holds my thought. I want to get married at some point, maybe after my 30s, as my aunt advised. But here's what Bobby had to say. You have to stay tuned. Yes.
Hey, friends. Let's get personal. It's the aftermath.
I was made to be a lover girl. I was made to be a gone girl. That's who I am. I am a girlfriend. I'm a wife. And I've accepted that I don't have that storyline of bumping into my soulmate once and then that's it. It just works out. And it's fine. So I'm going to make sure that I kiss these frogs. Unfortunately, what can I do? There's no other way to. You know, I just have to kiss the frogs, and I'm going to kiss them. And one of those frogs will turn into my Prince Charming, and it will end in happily ever after. I've known nothing else but to love and be loved. And I will not surrender until I get that. I won't give up. I won't give up.
Okay. Very long link. Okay, let's go with Tinola. You tell me. So many. You must now look at this. Look at this from the way that, like, those aspects of the creative side, like the talking to the one person. Was it relevant? Was it structured well? Was the hook good? Was the payoff there? Was the interview good? Was the interview right? All these things, because there was okay. So let me keep quiet. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me, was it a good or a bad link, first of all, after your rating of it?
So I think it was okay. It was
You can say
okay.
it was a bad link if you don't like it.
I didn't like it because like
Okay.
I felt like in between it was like she kept on forgetting the interviewee kept on forgetting what the questions were. I feel like they should have
Right.
been like more clearer in a way, since
Definitely.
like he couldn't understand how to answer the questions. And
Yeah.
also with how like she introduced the interviewee, she started off by saying hi. She said hi Ite, and then she went on to say please introduce yourself. Whereas she already said Ite, that means it's his name already.
Yeah.
So I felt like she should have just said please introduce yourself instead of like adding the name to it. And also with the whole marriage thing, I feel like the conversation could have been more brief. Like maybe they could have made it two sections, like cut for the first part and the second part, because it felt
Yeah.
like it was too long.
It was way too long.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. So
Do
I
do you
feel like
think?
if they could have taken a break in between, like
Yeah.
played a couple of songs and then they got back to it, it would have been much better. Because like people would have wanted to hear more. Like people
Yeah.
would have been like hooked, like by maybe like making sure that they
For
come back
shorter.
to it, since like she would have maybe like prioritized it in a sense that she could have added more. Like I feel like it was in
Yeah.
a
There was
sense
not.
tiring.
Yeah.
It could
It
have
was
been like
exhausting.
added
Yeah.
more like oomph to it.
Yeah.
It
But
was just
remember,
like
you're correct, and you're going to continue now in just a moment. You're correct, but there are many things that are making you feel like this, because
yeah,
it's about the bit construction. It isn't
yes,
constructed correctly. She
yes,
doesn't introduce who he actually is. Why is he
yes,
actually there? Why is it
yes.
him
That's
that
the
they picked
thing.
out? Which is
Yes,
why
sir.
you are lost. You understand,
Because he
right?
was talking, she was talking to him like obviously she knows him. Like for the
Mm,
listener, someone who doesn't know, because he
mm,
also introduced that he's part of the LGBTQI plus
mm.
community, which should have been like
Which
for the
means,
introduction part.
yeah,
It should have been
yeah,
like part of the introduction when he introduced himself. Or she should
yeah,
have been the one to say
exactly.
Itemukeng is from the LGBTQI plus
Mm.
community, and then
And the
she's gonna
relevance of having him there. I'm
yes,
saying, because
and
why
then
is he there? Genuinely.
yes, because
If you're
now
talking about marriage in total, and he
because
doesn't
now
want to get married.
yeah, and
Uh,
also the fact that he lives with this partner for like 3 years now, so
mm,
like he should have like maybe like try to clarify like how did that come about, like why did
yeah.
they decide to move in together, and why does he think like it's okay to move in this direction, like what does he expect from it and all that.
And he
So
said he doesn't actually want that longer. He wants
yes,
to continue
living
going
together.
elsewhere. No,
Yes.
going some trying other
So
things. I'm like, look, and I'm not. The thing is, that is control from the presenter is not in control at all. That's the
mm,
thing. And
mm.
again, this interview is going nowhere fast. It goes
Yes.
nowhere fast.
Yes.
That's the
Like there's
thing.
no I feel like I didn't gain anything. It felt like something that
Mm,
I could have found from a random stranger, like asking
yeah,
him about marriage, asking
yeah.
them about marriage in
Okay,
general. Like I
let
felt like it had no
yeah.
it didn't have much like
It
info
didn't
like
fulfill the promise.
research to it. Like they didn't
Mm,
do justice to the research also, like
right.
it
So
was lacking, Sam. That's all I can
yeah.
say. It was
No,
lacking.
that's no. You're correct. the promise which you learned, the promise, we promise the listener something. Even when we come in, that teaser wasn't even that recap or the introduction wasn't there. There was nothing
They just played the
live
random
up
clip
to.
from TikTok,
Right.
which
Exactly.
also they
Right.
didn't add to the interview.
Yes. Did you even understand who she was? Who was Pabi? What was the reason
They
of
should have
picking
also
her?
told the background, because I do know Pabi from TikTok. I know that it's Abalo from TikTok that's always raving about how she wants to get married, how she wants to get married, and like what type of guy she should get married, like she prefers to be
Yeah, the
married to.
fact that
So because I know who that is, I can like relate. But for someone like who's like,
yeah,
let's say
a
above
listener.
40 or
Yeah.
35, maybe that doesn't have TikTok, so they wouldn't know who Pabi is, and like how does the
Yeah.
topic relate to her in a sense.
Irregardless,
Yes,
the presenter must introduce
introduce, yeah, must
correctly.
give a background story of the person that they're gonna play the clip.
Good.
Yes, so that's
Nondamiso, yeah, thank you, Channel. It's very good. Very good crit. Nondamiso, tell me yours on the feedback on all that. Doesn't matter if
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
what
it is the same.
you're saying, but the number one thing for me was like the structure of the interview. At some point, um, the interviewer had more facts to tell us than the interviewee, which kind of makes you think, why is he there?
Yeah.
And his own personal points of view are very subjective.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, I felt like he just wanted to tell us that, he's a media personality and he's always going to, like, at some point see better. So that's why he doesn't want to settle for marriage.
Yeah.
That's how it came off.
Yes, you're 100% correct in the fact that we also picked someone unlikable because it makes him unlikable. We don't want to listen to more because he's not doing himself any justice by the many things that he actually said within there. And you don't want to get the thing is that if you want to sell that as a presenter, that's one thing, but you didn't sell it as that either. To make him introduce him as someone that's going to be someone that's going to make you feel unpleasant about his current,
Yeah.
whatever
So,
perspective or whatever it means. Continue.
and some of the things that they were going back and forth about, like um being domesticated and all of those things, I just feel like
Yeah,
those
that's
things
not
everyone
relevant.
knows are personal relationships. If he doesn't
Yeah,
want to cook and clean and he's in a same-sex relationship or marriage, then
yeah,
that's something they could like talk about. A lot of it didn't make sense
in
all the way
sense.
through.
Yeah, it doesn't like it had nothing to do with same sex. I'm saying it had nothing to do with the same sex thing. Actually, at the end of the day, it was kind of irrelevant. Like when she was going again, when she was bringing into it about the dynamics. It's a very basic question. It's something that please two people anyway, regardless whether you're male, female in a relationship, female, female, doesn't matter. Someone's going to decide who's going to do what. Finished. It has nothing to do with like that. So it became a little bit basic in that sense as well. How would you? So let's say you will listen to one more short link, but I want to know, like, what would you tell her immediately as a program manager and be like, this is something that cannot happen again. So what would you that constructive and say this and this and this is something that cannot happen again.
I guess I'd tell her that first we need guests that like have credentials. So there's a reason why we put on the show to talk about a certain topic.
Very
And
good.
you
Yeah.
as the interviewer, yes, you must research your show, you must research your guest, but you can't then come in and fill in for them with all the statistics and everything, and they don't have anything to say that's credible for the listener.
Right. Very good. Yeah. Tinolo, you want to say?
No, I was just like agreeing to what she was saying because the interviewer like didn't have enough research. I don't think she even made like a research because she couldn't back up the facts. She couldn't back up what the interviewee was saying. Because if she would have done the research, she would have said, "Oh, by the way, from so and so, the source said so and so," and then it would have added much to the actual interview.
Yeah. Then the thing is that what's important here is a pre-interview. Like you say, when you're going to chat to someone, you must chat to them beforehand to see whether they are, one, the correct person to chat to, finished, and two, they've got to know what type of questions are coming their way. So you can also see what they're going to answer. Not that it's rehearsed, but you've got to say, no, they don't have anything much to say about this particular question. I'm going to change it. Do you understand? Like, and I'm going to, and they must be well prepared. You understand? Good. I want to go to Shay Nundamizo. I see that yours are on. Fine. Good. Okay. All right. So let's go to one more random one in the second. I think this is the first. That was the. Which one was it? The second.
They should end.
No. Let's see where I went.
And I'm still your host, Tabang.
Family members in the industry are not going to, but
okay, right. I want you to. So I'm going to pick this. So this is obvious. Okay, so let's listen to this. Sonia?
A survey found that 39% of graduates blamed their colleges for not teaching them workplace skills or emotional and behavioral standards. And about 53% of them noted experiencing burnout at least once a week. The same survey found that candidates that come from college into the workforce are emotionally not prepared for what the world of work brings for them. Personally, I think I'm ready. I want that guap. Like, I mean, hello, why would I not be ready for money? And I asked you, where do you search for jobs and does it help? And here's what some of you had to say.
Hey, I'm Cindy. I look for jobs through connections because that's the only way you can get through these days. And it doesn't really help, but it also helps because it depends on who you're talking to.
Hi, Kinsey and team. This is Kohi. So I search for jobs on Google. There's a lot of funny websites, and do they help? No, but also connections. Yes, like if you have family members in the industry, you're not going to, but it's not guaranteed that they can help you. But also YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. Hi, Kinsey and team. My name is Balulu, and I usually search for my jobs on TikTok, LinkedIn, and Google at times. Connections, not so much because not all of them help. Yeah.
The interesting part about the last two voice notes is that the other one says connections, and the second one she says no ways, connections don't help. But the interesting part with the very last person, she said TikTok, really? Like, please hook us up. I didn't know TikTok is that good for all of us. I didn't know TikTok can be that healthy for all of us. But hey, you know what? The world of work is a lot, but trust me, you want to continue staying tuned. I have a visitor for us in studio today. I have a guest, and she's gonna let us know. She had a wonderful opportunity in July when the rest of us were stressing out. She was living her dreams, okay? So you definitely want to stay tuned for that because she's gonna give us the tips and the nuts. And as I said, if you're in final year, you need this because she has good news to tell you how to prepare yourself. And if you're in first or second year, guess what? She's going to tell you that, hey, check on it. This is how you maneuver through your career. If you need to volunteer during first year, do so. If you need to be a good learner and attend class every single day so that your lecturer can notice you, guess what? She's here to tell us all of that. So you definitely want to keep it locked. Yes.
Good. Okay. Last link for the day. All right. So remember, when we Snoop shows, we take, like I say, like you will only hear like this part. You don't need to hear, let's say, the call out or whatever it is, because again, we do bit construction, as I keep saying. So as the link is about interactive. It's about the responses. It's about the way that you started and ended and teased at this point. Okay. Let's go to Nolo. What do you think? What do you have to say?
So the link started off as like a survey from about having like an anxiety. Was it anxiety or like people being overwhelmed with work?
That's it. Yeah,
like a
with
workplace.
yeah, with it's the students that are not getting jobs, basically. That's the thing. Yeah.
Like that, but then the survey was talking about like being overwhelmed with the workplace, and
I
now
know.
the link. I mean, the call out was asking people like which websites or like how do they like search for jobs. So I don't know
Mm.
how those like
Linked together, right?
link. Yeah.
It's
So
very good. You're doing
yeah.
very
So
well. Like I
I
say,
failed to
yeah.
understand like how did they come about like the call out that
Mm.
way, because I
Yeah.
thought we were gonna focus on like some of the methods maybe that they could
Mm.
add like in order for them to
Good.
be less overwhelmed when
Yeah.
searching for jobs, or like
Yeah.
what other tips that they can give people to search for jobs.
Very
So
good.
that's why I was kind of thrown off a bit.
Yeah.
Like, how
So
did we
the
go from like being
yeah,
overwhelmed and to now how do we search for jobs? So that's all
once
that I
they are done.
was.
Sure. Okay. What do you think of the voice notes? That's very good. So let's go, Nondomiso. What did you think of? Well, let's go back and forth. Yeah, because you're going to do the crit. I mean, you're going to do
Uh,
recommendations. Yeah.
it was okay. So there was like nothing really different about it.
Okay.
Um,
Do you,
I
yeah.
feel like even with the how do you go about searching for jobs, like most graduated, but like most university students, they know.
How to
So
look for it. Okay. Do you
yeah,
feel like any of the voice notes gave you anything new that you wouldn't know that you would go, let's say now and go, let's say yourself go and use?
no, because I'm like, as I am on social media a lot, so I knew that like on TikTok, I've always seen
Mm.
like the job posts on LinkedIn
Mm.
everywhere. Yeah.
Right. So you see, it's about picking the right voice notes. You see, you understand. But getting voice notes is one thing, but picking the right ones that will add something new and interesting is more important, you know. Um, then the thing is, I wanna ask, do you think that she should have played all three back to back, or do you feel like she shouldn't? Do you like, because it's not a set equation. I'm saying in this particular piece, what did you think? You can tell me. Yeah.
She could have like done a voice note, a comment, and another voice note, and then a comment. Like her thoughts would have been appreciated. Maybe she
Mm.
knew another way, like the guests didn't know.
The thing is, this particular. So I'm going to analyze this particular link as it is. The way that she then referenced one and two or two and three or whatever it was, basically it was a bit too quick, and it was a bit too, it was a kind of a throwaway statement. The way she didn't close the link. I'm saying that the content piece, that's the thing. So the ending voice notes is not enough. You have to have a closing thought. Either, even if you have nothing more to say, you got to thank or your audiences, people that did send through. Thanks so much. I definitely will be looking at different avenues, especially across this and this. But also remember for yourself, from my side, this is what I have to say. So we have a good blackout when we do the links as well. And then she went into a teaser that seemed, um it was good that she went into the teaser, but the teaser itself wasn't like to tell someone that why you need to hear from someone else that you need to go to class doesn't make sense to me. Do you understand? It, like, that was not an exactly like the reason why I want to now listen to this woman. A student would want different reasons. These are very basic reasons that are not making this woman stand out. Right. Okay. All right. That is the end of the lesson. Are there any questions, just in general? Did Tinola, from your side?
So I wanted to find out when are we gonna have the sessions for our own like demos.
Oh, so that starts from Tuesday. Okay, so on Monday, what's going to happen is we're going to have class on campus, right? Because I'm going to
Yes.
brief. We're going to do the S1. It is out already if you want to get it already, right? And then
Yes.
we're going to do the last two lessons, and we're going to listen to the other shows just like we did now, three things each, you know.
And
Then
then
what's going to happen is that each session is going to be 45 minutes, but virtually till the end now, right? So then you will book whichever days you feel, and the thing is, then we will have, like I say, if there's content you want to share with me, then you can share with me. But we'll probably do WhatsApp calls. You don't have to do any team meetings. You understand, right? And then you will say to me in the beginning, the first week or the first ones that you're going to do with me, you're going to conceptualize some stuff with me. You're going to tell me what it is that you want in the demo, and then I will help you make that idea come to life. Does it make sense, right? And with the presenters, they have to go initially they obviously have to come up with ideas, but they have to come back with their show and the links that they actually feel need crit to see whether they can be worked on for the demo itself, right? Um, so that's we'll start that on Tuesday because we want to obviously have enough sessions so that you can rotate enough times, not to have just one or two sessions each. But yeah, we'll start from there. Nondami, so do you have any comments? You fine?
No, sir, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, ladies. We'll then have a good weekend, and then I'll see you on Monday.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a great one. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay.